Tony, I guess if you could talk a little bit about George's Niang, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Have you played any scores similar to him, and as good as he is, do you think Malcolm might be assigned to defend him?
He's a terrific player. You know how number 45 for Butler, Andrew, I'll let Eric pronounce his last name. Shrabish. So, you know, there's some similarities there. He wasn't one of their key guys, but how he played, how he could step out and shoot the three, made some nice passes. He could kind of drive and wheel. Well, now when you're talking about, you know, Niang, he does that all the time. Sometimes he brings it up, shoots the three, posts up, beats you off the dribble. Really a unique player. Similar to Roosevelt Jones, he was a unique player. I think you have to try to make him earn. They have other guys who are very talented who shoot 40 or above from the three-point line with good spacing. They score in transition. They score, you know, posting up, inside out. I think you're going to have to probably have a lot of guys trying to guard him. He's that good, and that's, you know, he's not just a one-dimensional player because he can put it on the floor. He's shooting, I think, 39%. I don't have the stats in front of me from three. But he can post, he can drive, and he's got the shot. Those are, you know, at that forward position and good size on him. Heck of a player, and he creates for others as well. And it's not like they don't have others. They have some very nice players with him.
I think you've probably answered this every year for us, but how do you prepare for the potential second game? Do your assistants split up scouting each potential team, and,
Yep.
and what do you watch versus what they do?
Yeah, that's you know, you're obviously it's about advancing and focused on Iowa State, but you know, your assistants take one takes Gonzaga, one takes Syracuse. You know, they're watching their stuff. So if you're fortunate enough to advance, then you're prepared whoever wins that game, because obviously you don't know. I don't know if they're before us or after us in the thing. So they'll watch that, and you go from there. That's just how it is.
Do you peek?
Well, I know about Syracuse. Obviously, they play a 2-3 zone, so I can give you that advanced knowledge on them. So.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, any Chicago memories from your playing days, either as a college player or pro player, and more importantly, are you going to hit that pizza place up that I know you're so fond of?
Yeah, my last game I played in the NBA was in the United Center. I've got phenomenal memories of the old Chicago Stadium, getting to play against Michael Jordan. I did about 15 times in my career, which is as good as it gets, but playing him in the playoffs, all those kinds of things. But my last game I played as an NBA player was actually at the United Center. And in college, we played UIC, Illinois, Chicago, when I played at Green Bay. I don't think if there's any other. Played Chicago State. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Played in the Old Style Classic. Played against DePaul in Southern Illinois. So, yeah, definitely. You know, it's very close to Wisconsin and all that. So good memories. Have been at many Big Ten tournaments as an assistant, and then watching when my dad coached and when I was on staff for Brad when he was the coach for the year at Wisconsin, and then Coach Ryan in the United Center. So definitely in a great city, of course.
What about the pizza?
The pizza, there's many good pizza and Italian places there. There's a lot of them, so we'll find some.
Tony, how are you feeling about London's pretty solid production? It's been pretty straightforward for the past couple tournament games after he had that little dip kind of towards the end of the season. And then what about his potential matchup with Morris, who I feel like we haven't seen a matchup like that since maybe Rodriguez at Miami?
Yeah. You know, London made a real big drive for us. You know, London he understands the time of the game, and at this stage, everybody has to play well. Your top players have to play well, and you know, you've got to be good defensively against a guy like Morris, and of course offensively. And you know, the game, we didn't shoot it particularly well against Butler from three, but it was a game that just decisions and plays had to be made. And he's an important piece, and he understands what's going on. He tries to find the right people, but he also has been looking to be aggressive. And that's you know, I can point out just about everybody in these when you get to this part in the tournament. So did I answer it specifically enough, or was there more? I mean, I think yeah. Yeah, no, I did. I've got it broken down. The one pass that he threw across the court, and they ran through it, and it went in. We're going to have a talk about that because you got possessions are golden, obviously, at this stage, but London's such an important piece. You know how I feel about him, and he'll have his hands full, as we talked about Niang, but. Morris, he was actually at the Pan Am trials. I don't think he made that team that Malcolm made. And I remember watching him at those when I was watching Malcolm, saying, "Well, he's really good. He's so athletic and shoots a decent percent and can play." And I think they said he's fully healthy now.
Tony, Matt Thomas is a kid you obviously know well. What does he add to them? And was there ever a point in his recruitment where you felt like Virginia led with him, or was the proximity and geography always a hurdle he had to overcome?
Yeah, I think he's had great success, and he's really an important piece. He really guards well. He guarded Buddy Hield, and he's tough. He's a tough, sound player. I remember when recruiting him, thinking of Joe Harris and guys like that. And we tried, and it's a little bit far, and I think he went is having a heck of a career, and he's really improved this year. He's had some big games for him, and he's gotten himself in great shape and plays hard defensively, stretches it again, one of those three-point shooters, but makes real good decisions, good size, and obviously a fine young man.
I believe at the ACC Operation Basketball that Anthony was talking about, you worked with him on his free throw shooting. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but obviously he goes to the line a lot. He shot a much higher percentage. Have you been surprised at all that he's been able to maintain that all year?
Yeah, I mean, he's worked at it. He's shot so many free throws. A lot of it's rhythm and confidence, like putting, as we know. So, but I think, little adjustments we talked about last year. We turned him angled him a little more. We talked about just lining up because he's a little more with his elbow. So we just try to line up his elbow and shoulder a little bit to the rim. But he's just shot a lot, and it's getting there. And he's made some big ones for us. And again, because he draws contact or draws fouls, he gets there at important times, and any time we can get there is important.
You alluded to Brad a couple minutes ago. Just curious about what the dynamic's been like between you and him this year. Was that a little bit of an adjustment period? You used to work for him, now he works for you, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and he was actually in 7th grade when Eric and I were 7th graders. He was our gym teacher. He had to come and taught us wrestling, so there you go. So I got that. Not only was he a teacher. Yeah, it was an illegal headlock I put on my buddy there, but Brad, he's been terrific, a terrific addition. I've been blessed. I've been fortunate for every staff member I've had here, even our SID, but everyone. No, I've surrounded myself and with the players, the character of the players, who they are, but these coaches are phenomenal. Obviously, we had some big shoes to fill with losing Brad Soucy and, of course, Richie McKay. But that's why I knew right away Brad Soderberg's experience as a head coach, his knowledge, how he goes about it, what he brought. He's really been a great addition, and he's such a humble guy, and there's no issues. And I empower those guys a lot because they're so important. The way they communicate with the players, the decisions they make, what I rely on with them, and not at all. I didn't, I just sometimes I want, hey, whatever you got to say, speak up. So, and working for him, that was a great experience and a unique experience, and seeing him how he handled them. That's why I knew if I had an opportunity like I did, he would be at the top of the list.
You guys have faced a lot of teams since non-conference schedule who have outstanding scorers like Niang. Does that now at this point in the season, does it change how you look at those type of guys maybe than how you looked at them at the beginning of the season? Is there a little bit you're more comfortable with?
Yeah, I mean, those guys, Blossomgame, Leday, Andrew, Ingram, those 4 men that play that can shoot the three. Jenkins, I guess, for Villanova. There's probably a few more I'm leaving out. Hart for Villanova. But those guys that are complete, that score from the three, put it on the floor at times have challenged us. They really have, and this is probably the best we face in certain ways. Everybody's different, and so it's forced us to, think about, okay, at different times, different guys are guarding them, are scheming, how we're doing things, and it obviously depends on the other guys on the floor. There are other people out there, so because we've been in those experiences, you have some experiences to draw on. Say, okay, at times we've had to go 4 guards, or times it's been Anthony on them, or Isaiah, or Malcolm, or different players. So I know that is a challenge for us in that position, and this will be probably our biggest challenge with a player that has the whole package like him. He's not one-dimensional, so we'll have to be at our best, and he can hurt you in a lot of ways for sure.
I remember Mike Bray in, I guess it was October in Charlotte, talking about when he was in the Big East in the year that they had 10 teams picked and how more teams needed to go from the ACC. Could you talk about the success of the ACC in the postseason, and do you think there should have been more teams get in?
Well, you're talking about and I don't know if I heard this correctly, that 6 teams in the Sweet 16, is that a record for a conference? So 5 was the record before, so 6. And Louisville obviously didn't get into the tournament. Who knows what would have happened? They were a very high-quality team, so it just speaks to the depth and quality of this conference. It's good, and it's hard to win in the tournament, and you got to be fortunate to get advanced. But to have that many teams, yeah, and certainly, you look at the Clemsons and who else was on the bubble maybe that didn't get in. Pitt's game could have gone either way with Wisconsin, so you see all that. But there's this league is challenging, and it is good to see this many teams, get in. And yeah, of course, I always think there could be more, but to advance, I think that validates what coaches are always going to beat the drum for their conference. And they, the saying, what's the best conference in America? The one you're in. That's true in a way. You're fighting and grinding. But this one, with its different styles, with the quality of coaches and the depth of talent, and the teams that are even in the NIT. I know how good Virginia Tech was. I know the talent of Florida State. All these teams that going down the list. Yeah, I think it's become a great basketball league. I mean, you can get in the argument, is it the number 1 league? Well, some things would suggest it right now, but it's just really good, and it's being proven or validated.
Good time for a couple more. Jerry?
Tony, not that you've had time to deal with it, but are you getting any contact at all, or anybody reaching out to you from all the old players from Virginia? Are just glad to see that you guys have put Virginia basketball back on the map again?
Of course. Our alumni are great. Our players, they care. They care how the program is maintained. The guys in the program, of course, how you play and all that, but it's very encouraging. There's so many that live in this area, other guys that reach out, and that's part of being the family. Though I didn't coach those guys, and I guess I've been here 7 years, so I'm starting to get established. It's special to see that, and when you have a guy like Jason Williford and Mike Curtis who are in your inner circle, that's even more special. So there's a lot of encouragement, and one of the first texts I got after game, Bryant Stith. I just happened to look at my phone, and that was awesome to see that from him. He's such a good man, and has meant a world to the program. And you see Ralph Sampson at some of the games, and Jimmy Miller. I mean, you can go down and down. Wally Walker. Barry Parkhill. I can't leave out Barry Parkhill for sure. You guys know that. I'll get in trouble. No, but there's so many. John Tell Evans, the former players, Joe Harris. That I can go on and on, but very, very meaningful. So it's good.
Mariel, I know you didn't run plays specifically for him, but did Mariel show you something with his aggressive play when given the opportunity?
Yeah, I thought really it stretches last year and this year you'd see it. And then in the ACC tournament, I thought Mariel and Devin gave us nice stretches of basketball, but you asked about Mariel. I thought in the ACC tournament there's just stretches, plays off the dribble that he made, driving, pull-ups, different things, and then certainly always plays hard defensively. So that was good. We needed all that. I mean, that game was about, as I said, you had to make some plays offensively and defensively, and he really gave us a nice dimension in that game. That's it. And I will not be doing out-of-season press conferences. I don't know why Bronco has that in his contract, so he should. So I won't be doing it, right?